Call this meeting in order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First we'll go to the approval of the minutes from Monday, February 6th, 2023. The meeting was called to order. We had a discussion and public hearing on Harlem Valley Homestead. And then we had old business, Savalos, New York Transco, and a resolution adopting a negative declaration for New York Transco. Then resolution granting special use permit, site plan, erosion, and sediment control permit approval for Transco. And then adjournment. All right. Need a motion to approve the minutes. Motion made by
So moved.
Member Sador, seconded by
Second.
Member Louverdeer. Discussion. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Minutes are approved. 5-0 with 2 absences. All right. Next we have public hearing. Savalos special use permit. Need a motion to. Well, first we'll have a discussion, and then we'll go to the public hearing. So, if representative from Savalos, please come to the podium. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Steve Whalen, Whalen Architecture. I'm the project. I'm joined tonight by Matt Brown of Willingham Engineering, civil engineer for the project, also the owner of these matters.
Okay. So, are there any updates you have for us since our last meeting?
Since our last presentation, so 2 presentations ago, that's when Matt redesigned the septic system.
Right.
This 2-bedroom apartment. Downsized that considerably, and then we went over all the other points for, like having a home office use with the apartment use above the garage storage.
Okay. All right.
No major changes.
All right. Thank you. I don't have any comments or questions at this time. Member Sador?
Nope.
Member Holmes? Nope. Member Louverdeer?
No.
Nope. I guess we'll start with Attorney Polidoro.
So just procedurally, this application started a while back. The board classified it as type 2 at a previous meeting. It was referred to county planning, came back, matter of local concern. There were concerns from the fire department, but Don Anderson has weighed in and advised that a residential driveway does not need to meet the standards for a fire access apparatus access road. We are in the public hearing tonight, and if the board is ready to move forward, we have a draft resolution prepared.
Thank you. Planner Werner?
Yeah, not much to add to that. At the last meeting or the meeting before, I forget, we asked them to elaborate on the special permit criteria for home office or the home occupation, and we reviewed those responses, and the board seemed comfortable with what they were proposing at this time. So I don't know if Joe has anything on the septic, but that's all from me.
Okay.
I have no comments.
Okay. You concur with the building inspector?
Yes,
Code
I
enforcement
do.
officer about the roadway?
Yeah, building
the driveway.
inspector and I discussed it and I concur with them, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Having heard from our consultants, any member of the planning board have any comments, questions? Okay. All right. Thank you. Please have a seat. It has been 4 weeks, and I'm just blanking. Is this, we're continuing the public hearing or opening the public hearing?
Open.
Opening. Thank you.
Be on the list.
There was a lot of public hearing stuff last meeting, so I'm a little. Anybody sign up for the Savalos?
Nope.
Okay. Well, so make a motion to open the public hearing for the Savalos project. Motion made by Member Holmes, seconded by Member Sador. All those in favor of opening this public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay, this public hearing is now open. No one has signed up to speak at this public hearing, but anyone is welcome to speak at this Savalos public hearing. Okay, seeing no one approaching the podium, I think we'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Made by Member Villano, second by
Second.
Member LaRobertier. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of closing this public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay, by a vote of 5-0 with 2 absences, this public hearing is now closed. All right. Okay, so let's just go through next steps here. Attorney Polidoro, again, as a type 2 action, so
So this
to
was
do anything further with secret.
classified as a type 2 action, so we do not need to review the EAF any further. We have a draft resolution prepared. Resolution granting site plan, special use permit, and architectural review board approval.
Okay. All right, so I'll read this resolution, and then we'll see if there's any further discussion. Resolution granting site plan, a special use permit, and architectural review board approval, Savalos accessory apartment and home occupation. Whereas the applicant, Ruben Savalos, has submitted an application for special use permit and architectural review board approval to renovate the second floor of an existing permitted garage structure, including the construction of an apartment, 2 decks, and to establish a home occupation and office accessory to a one-family dwelling, collectively known as the project, on property located at 27 Homestead Road, aka 943 West Dover Road, identified as tax parcel number 6959-00-976677, known as the property, in the RU zoning district and the SC overlay district. And whereas accessory apartments are permitted in the RU zoning district, subject to special use permit approval, and whereas pursuant to section 145-12C of the zoning law, 1 accessory apartment per single-family dwelling may be located in an accessory structure, provided the lot containing the accessory apartment contains the minimum acreage required by the dimensional table, and such accessory apartment shall not be counted toward permitted density. And whereas the property would contain 2 dwelling units, the primary unit and the 2-bedroom accessory apartment proposed on the second floor of the renovated garage structure. And whereas the proposed 2-bedroom apartment would occupy approximately 995 square feet, and the proposed office would occupy approximately 868 square feet, while the floor area of the primary residence is approximately 3,500 square feet, rendering both uses less than 30% of floor area of the primary residence. And whereas pursuant to section 145-41A of the zoning law, the conduct of small-scale, low-impact business and professional uses on residential properties is permitted, and whereas the business to be supported by the proposed home occupation consists of a landscaping business operated by the applicant, and the first floor of the garage will be used to store vehicles and equipment for this business. And whereas the project is depicted on a site plan entitled Savalos Residence, sheets 2SP 1.0, 5A2, 6A1.1, prepared by Whalen Architecture PLLC, dated October 29, 2021, last revised January 4, 2023, and sheet SA-1, prepared by Willingham Engineering, dated May 23rd, 2022, last revised November 16, 2022, collectively known as the site plan set. And whereas the project's proposed addition of 2 decks on the accessory garage structure would result in side yard setbacks less than the 30 feet required by the Town of Dover zoning law, and an area variance is required for the project, and whereas pursuant to section 37-3 of the Town Code, in the event that the Architectural Review Board does not have necessary quorum to hold a meeting, the Planning Board shall have full authority and proper and power to approve the conditions or the architectural plans and elevations submitted by an applicant. And whereas the applicant has submitted a short environmental assessment form, or EAF, dated October 29, 2021, pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act, also known as SECRA. And whereas pursuant to 6 NYC RR 617.5, subsection C, subsection 11, the construction of or expansion of a single-family residence on approved lot is a Type 2 action under SECRA. And whereas on November 15, 2021, the Planning Board classified the project as a Type 2 action under SECRA and referred the applicant to the Zoning Board of Appeals. And whereas on April 6, 2022, the Zoning Board of Appeals granted the applicant an area variance from the side yard setback requirement of 30 feet to permit a 28-foot, 11-inch setback on the south side of the garage. And whereas, and whereas on January 23, 2023, the project was referred to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development pursuant to Section 239-M of the General Municipal Law, which responded on February 14, 2023, that it was a matter of local concern. And whereas by letter dated February 10, 2023, the J.H. Ketchum Hose Company provided comments on the project and its adequacy for emergency access. And whereas by email dated February 15, 2023, the town's code enforcement officer determined that the driveway did not need to meet the standards of for a fire apparatus access road under Section 503 of the New York State Fire Code. And whereas a duly noticed public hearing was held on March 6, 2023, during which all those who wished to speak were heard. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to Section 145-41 of the proposed of the zoning law, the Planning Board makes the following findings regarding the proposed home occupation. A, the home occupation may be conducted only by residents of the dwelling unit plus no more than 2 non-resident assistants or employees at any one time. A home occupation may be conducted within a dwelling unit and or within accessory structures. An area no larger than 30% of the floor space of the primary dwelling unit may be occupied by the home occupation up to a maximum of 1,000 square feet, as discussed above. The applicant is seeking a special permit to permit a home occupation with a maximum of 3 non-resident employees. A home occupation shall be incidental and secondary to the use of a dwelling unit for residential purposes. It shall be conducted in a manner which does not give the outward appearance of a business, does not infringe on the right of neighboring residents to enjoy the peaceful occupancy of their dwelling units, and does not alter the character of the neighborhood. The exterior design of the structure does not give the appearance of a business, and the use will not infringe on the rights
Should say,
of neighboring residents or alter the character of the neighborhood. General employees of the landscaping business will be directed to meet at off-premises locations and job sites. C, signs used in conjunction with the home occupation shall not be animated or illuminated and shall not exceed 3 square feet. The applicant is not proposing any signs on the property. D, parking shall be adequate for non-resident employees and customers of or clients. No business vehicle larger than 10,000 pounds. Gross vehicle weight may be parked regularly in a location visible from a public road or neighboring properties. The applicant indicates that all vehicles stored in the garage will be under 10,000 pounds gross vehicle weight, and that no customers or clients will be on site at any time. Parking on the property is adequate for the tenants of the 2-bedroom apartment and 1 additional employee. E, automobile and truck traffic generated shall not be greater than the volume of traffic that would normally be generated by residential use unless the residence is located on New York State Route 22, 55, or 343. The proposed home occupation proposes to store 4 vehicles in the garage, which will leave the site at approximately 7 a.m. and return at approximately 5 p.m. F, there shall be no exterior storage of materials, equipment, vehicles, or other supplies used in conjunction with a home occupation unless screened from the road and from other properties. The applicant has stated that no exterior storage is proposed as part of the project. All vehicles and equipment will be stored in the garage. G, no offensive appearance, noise, vibration, smoke, electrical interference, dust, odors, or heat shall occur. The use of substances in a manner which may endanger public health or safety or which pollute the air or water shall be prohibited. According to a written submission to the Planning Board by the applicant on January 4, 2023, quote, no activities will take place anywhere on the site that endangers the public health or safety or pollutes the air and water. No additional offensive appearance, noise, vibration, smoke, electrical interference, dust, odors, or heat will be created. H, more than one home occupation may be conducted on a lot, provided that the combined impact of all home occupations satisfies these criteria and standards. The applicant is proposing one home occupation on the property. Be it further resolved that the planning board determines pursuant to section 145-63A of the zoning law that the project will not violate any of the special use permit criteria applicable to major projects listed in zoning law 145-63B and will comply with the standards of the stream corridor overlay set forth in 145-14. Be it further resolved that the planning board hereby grants site plan, special use permit, and architectural review board approval to the project as depicted on the site plan set, and authorizes the chair or his authorized designee to sign the site plan set after compliance with the following conditions. 1, payment of all fees in escrow. 2, Dutchess County Department of Behavioral and Community Health approval for the proposed septic system upgrades for the project. 3, revision of the site plan set to indicate that the maximum number of non-primary resident employees permitted at the site is 3, and to provide updated wastewater disposal plans for a system designed for reflecting same. 4, revision of the site plan set to include an owner's signature block and planning board approval block. All right. This resolution is being offered by
So moved.
Member
Second.
Zador, seconded by Member Holmes. Discussion? Did you want to add anything here? Okay.
Right, you'll have to submit updated plans as part of this. The septic design, I'm not sure it was submitted to the board.
Yeah, it's been submitted to the health department.
Right, so to the planning board. So
Right.
that'll be a condition.
Okay. Just one, I just went back to letter A here, just quick. I can zoom in for you if you'd like.
There was some in the narrative. Are you talking about the number of employees?
Yes, so it's,
2 more and 3 in the other.
My understanding is that the tenants of the apartment are going to be employees, and then it was one additional employee. So
right.
they're not primary residents, so it's 3 employees, but one of them will not live there.
Okay.
Is that,
That would be the apartment where my sister's gonna live,
Okay.
okay? So she's right there, so she's the one who's gonna occupy the apartment.
and she's going to work from the office as well?
Yeah. Me and her will be the ones who are gonna be working in the office.
Okay. I mean, if they're living in the apartment on the property, aren't they residents of the property?
So we spoke, Aaron and I spoke about
Yeah,
this.
just,
We
yeah.
weren't, it's not clear
Mm-hmm.
that it applies to the non-primary residents, because we're approving a home occupation to the primary residence.
Right.
And not the home occupation to the accessory structure. But either way, we thought it prudent to include the number 3, so that if they hired someone else, just
Mhm.
to give them a little bit more flexibility.
Okay.
If there's only 2 people, they don't need a special permit at all.
Sure. Okay, and so we're saying that the people living in the apartment are non-residents because they're in the apartment,
Non-primary residents,
because they're
yeah,
not the primary residence. And then one additional person.
yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? All right. Seeing no further discussion. Resolution granting site plan, special use permit, and architectural review board approval, Savalos accessory apartment and home occupation. Secretary, please call the roll.
Member Valano?
Aye.
Member Sador?
Aye.
Member Holmes?
Aye.
Member LaRobidier?
Aye.
Quartine?
Aye. The resolution thereupon passes 5-0 with 2 absences. Congratulations. So just talk with the consultants and code enforcement officer about next steps and just buttoning up everything else that's included at the bottom of the resolution. So, Thank you.
FYI, the engineers and attorneys' name tags are reversed.
On purpose.
Yeah,
You know, that was like a legal thing.
thank you.
I'm sure the planner can fix that for both of them.
I
Thank you for pointing that out.
want to be attorney
You win the
for
prize.
day.
Yeah.
See, I had a picture I was posting on Facebook and everything. I got
Notice how you pointed that out after we gave the approval. I didn't
you
want anything
ruined
to go wrong. Okay. Should I save this as version
Just hit the save.
20, 21?
No, no,
or-
just hit save. Don't,
I hit save.
at the top, there's a little
I
box.
press save. Done. Thank you. That's your email. I don't want that. Okay. Next is Harlem Valley Homestead. So again, as we've done before, we'll have a discussion and then continue the public. So we're gonna have a discussion. We're gonna look at SECRA, possibly vote on SECRA, and then continue the one part of the public hearing that we agreed to continue to this meeting. So, representative from Harlem Valley Homestead, like to come to the podium?
Evening, John Watson, Human Site Engineering Surveying Landscape Architecture. Here for a continued site plan application for the Harlem Valley Homestead. Review and conference and project located on 147 East Ford Road.
Okay.
We don't have anything else to present.
Okay.
You guys were,
I
said
think-
you wanted to do, oh, I guess we could discuss that, sure.
There's a letter that you sent.
There it
Yeah.
is. I'm gonna grab it.
There's some new information.
Some new information. Fair enough.
There's the letter.
I'm sorry, I misapprehended. So for the record, it's Neil Alexander, a partner at Betty and Fader. Here on behalf of the applicant, here with John Watson and also Josh Fratello so yes, we did submit a letter, sorry. It represents a minor removal of an aspect of the project that had come to discussion at the last meeting. In particular, we're going to remove that wood pellet furnace biomass boiler from the Country Inn Township Center. I think there have been some discussion, some concerns about how all the math is coming together relative to that aspect, and as a result, that substantiates, as had been put in your question 6 on the website relative to the state threshold for impacts to air. It even further reduces us. We're already under 50%, which justified your no to small impact that you had talked about at the prior meetings. This takes us even lower than that, and is consistent with the draft narrative that had been on your website under the February 6th folder. So essentially, it was just a quick letter to let you know that we're removing that, but we also are committing to the level of 165 cords of wood that had been discussed as a not exceed number to, as sort of a belt and suspenders approach to that air quality question that had been out there. So we just decided to further reduce our usage relative to that issue.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Okay, so at this time, I don't have any comments or questions. Member Villano?
Nope.
Member Little Bit
No.
Member Sidor?
Nope.
Member Holmes? No. Okay. Attorney, actually, let's go this way. Engineer Berger, anything
No.
engineering-wise we need to look
No.
at? At the
Well, just the same letter from before, just.
okay. Planner Werner?
Sure. So, just last meeting, you went through the Part 2 EAF, you went through the full narrative report,
Mhm.
line by line. There was some edits made to that report by myself and Victoria and Joe regarding the air quality section based on the removal of the boiler. So if you go to that narrative
Impacts on air,
document,
number 6.
what's that?
So the narrative or the?
Yeah, the narrative report, no changes were made to the Part 2. The Part 3 narrative, Word version with today's date, it should say revised.
Narrative revision 2?
Yes.
Narrative 2.
So that has tracked edits down in the air quality section showing the proposed language. And, you know, this is your document, planning
Mhm.
board's document, so you should take a look at that. Just removal of the biomass boiler references everywhere. We left in the table that they provided for the other fire elements. As well as the calculations, just as the applicant stated, they still are committing to that level of wood usage, and since the thresholds were not exceeded and the estimate was conservative, it's even more conservative without that element included, so I figured we should leave it in. So that's pretty much it. We're landing on the no or small impact. And there is, we could add the condition about the wood cords. I don't know if the board can discuss that right now. I don't think it's part of the draft resolution that Victoria had put together, but that's up for discussion.
Okay. Anything further, planner, Warner?
No, I think, like I said, no changes were made to that Part 2. There was,
Note about the wood.
was it in there?
Yeah, we can just delete it.
I can do that right now. So the Part 2 form has a reference to the boiler written in
Impacts.
under
Other
other.
impacts.
Thank you.
So the project will involve air emissions associated with wood-burning fireplaces and a biomass boiler used on a regular basis. So just,
I would
the
strike-
project will involve air emissions associated with wood-burning fireplaces used on a regular basis.
I think that's enough. And they're really not used on a regular basis, according to the applicant. It's seasonal mostly, and some might not use them at all. They're mostly supplemental heat or for decorative purposes, especially inside some of the cabins, according to the applicant's information, so.
Used on a seasonal basis. Is that problematic?
Nope, that's fine.
Okay. Any members of the planning board have any comments, questions on letter F?
Definitely save that. And then and then the Part 3. There's a Part 3.
See the little thing over there,
The
little
disc
square
icon.
thing with the pen, just tap it.
Right.
That's it.
My God.
Just say yes.
Been
There
replaced.
you go.
So then there's a Part 3 form to the EAF as well, but that one is not really fully filled out because we have the very long narrative report and separate negative declaration document that's referred to in that box right there. But you still need to sign this form after you make your determination, so we left it with references to the separate documents and stated with today's date. The,
Okay, so we'll read through that.
right, and then the, so we went through the narrative changes, then there's the negative declaration document that's a standalone file that we put together that really refers back to that narrative to cover the 12 criteria for seeker. And that hasn't changed since last meeting. I will double check to make sure there's no boiler references right now.
While he's doing that, the next one is the resolution. There's a resolution neg deck.
Yep. Okay. Okay, so everyone see this change in the Part 3 narrative? What is crossed out has a red line through it. What has been added in has a red line underneath it. Any comments, questions, members of the planning board? No?
Nope.
Okay. We already went through the change to Part 6, letter F, in the EAF. We'll just read through the full environmental assessment form quickly. Full environmental assessment form, Part 3, evaluation of the magnitude and importance of project impacts and determination of significance. Part 3 provides the reasons in support of the determination of significance. The agency must complete Part 3 for every question in Part 2 where the impact has been identified as potentially moderate to large, or where there is a need to explain why a particular element of the proposed action will not or may result in a significant adverse environmental impact. Based on the analysis in Part 3, the lead agency must decide whether to require environmental impact statement to further assess the proposed action, or whether available information is sufficient for the lead agency to conclude that the proposed action will not have a significant adverse environmental impact. By completing the certification on the next page, the lead agency can complete its determination of significance. Okay, reasons supporting this determination. To complete this section, identify the impact based on Part 2 responses and describe its magnitude. Magnitude considers factors such as severity, size, or extent of an impact. Assess the importance of the impact. Importance relates to the geographic scope, duration, probability of the impact occurring, number of people affected by the impact, and any additional environmental consequences if the impact were to occur. The assessment should not the assessment should take into consideration any design element or project changes. Repeat this process for each Part 2 question where the impact has been identified as potentially moderate to large, or where there is a need to explain why a particular element of the proposed action will not or may result in a significant adverse environmental impact. Provide the reason or reasons why the impact may or will not result in a significant adverse environmental impact. For conditional negative declarations, identify the specific condition or conditions imposed that will modify the proposed action so that no significant adverse environmental impacts will result, and attach additional sheets as needed. Okay, so we went through that last meeting, and then we made a minor change here at this meeting, and so we're going to refer to the separate EAF Part 3 narrative report and negative declaration documents dated March 6, 2023. Okay, the secret status is a Type 1. Portions of the EAF completed for this project are Parts 1, Parts 2, and Part 3. Excuse me. Upon review of the information recorded on the EAF, as noted, plus this additional support information, the secret narrative report with appendices dated March 6, 2023. And considering both the magnitude and importance of each identified potential impact, it is the conclusion of the Town of Dover Planning Board as lead agency that A, this project will result in no significant adverse impacts on the environment, and therefore an environmental impact statement need not be prepared. Accordingly, this negative declaration is issued. Okay. The name of the action is Harlem Valley Homestead. Name of lead agency is Town of Dover Planning Board. Name of responsible officer and lead agency is myself. Title of responsible officer, planning board chair. Signature of responsible officer and lead agency is March 6, 2023. And further information is provided below. All right, any
Can I add one thing?
comments, questions? Yes, planner
Just
Warner.
noted at the bottom, this does require, if you adopt it, needs to get posted to the ENB, the Environmental Notice Bulletin for New York State DEC, which we can take care of that, assuming it's adopted. They only publish on Wednesdays, so it would be sent to them this Wednesday for appearance next Wednesday in their ENB.
So we being AKRF, you're saying?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Any members of the planning board have any comments, questions on this form? All right. see, we went through that. Right. We did not read through this negative declaration document last time, I don't believe.
Yeah, I believe we did.
I don't believe I bored everybody reading this, so.
I thought you did.
You thought I did bore everybody?
Yes, I did.
We know you
I know it was, I know I didn't get home until 11:30.
Yes, same.
Just put it that way.
So this document essentially gives a description of the action, but at this point, it's been repeated several times.
Yes.
And then it basically goes through and just states that the board finds there won't be an impact on air, won't be an impact on, it makes conclusions based on the narrative, so. Will not result, will not result, will not result.
There's 12 criteria in the secret regs for determining significance, and all 12 of them are here. And for each one, relevant sections of the Part 3 narrative are referred to where you can find the information that covers that particular issue. That's how it was structured.
Okay.
I would like to say something. That narrative is 37 pages long, and it covers a period of several years where our dialogue went back and forth and many changes were discussed, many comments were made by the public. The applicant changed certain things because of that. Our consultants considered certain things because of that. We all discussed all of these things, and you can read through this narrative and you can see where everything was discussed. There's been some comments made that we were negligent in not personally responding off the record every time someone in the public made a comment through an email. The reverse is actually the truth. It would be very improper for us to respond off the record. The public comment is public for a reason, and every response we make to the public comments has to be done within the meeting so that it also is public. That's the way seeker is supposed to be done, and that's the way we've done it.
Okay. Thank you, Member Oberdeer. All right, so seeing as no one wants me to read this out loud, we will. Yes, we'll get to that. I just wanted to see if any members had any further comments at this time. Okay. You could also make a comment after the resolution has been motioned and seconded. All right, resolution adopting a secret determination of significance, negative declaration, Harlem Valley Homestead. Whereas the applicant, Harlem Valley Homestead LLC, has submitted an application for subdivision, special use permit, site plan, architectural review board, and erosion sediment control permit approvals to establish a country inn/conference center consisting of an agricultural/education center, farms, stay lodging, educational workshops, retreats, and events on property located at 132 through 147 Old Forge Road, collectively known as the project. And whereas parcels involved in this application are identified as tax numbers 7160-00-98, 1478, 7260-00-062777, 7260-00-089448, 7260-00-123597, 7260-00-089-448, and 7260-00-167790, collectively known as the site, and are located in the rural district, or RU, and resource conservation, or RC zoning districts, partially within the floodplain, stream corridor, and aquifer overlay districts, and partially within New York State Agricultural District 23. And whereas the project would support an existing and active agricultural use on the property, and whereas the project includes the widening/paving of portions of Old Forge Road, as well as the reconfiguration of the Old Forge Road / Route 55 intersection. And whereas the project is depicted on, among other things, the following submissions from the applicant: site plan drawings by Insight Engineering, Surveying, and Landscape Architecture, PC, last dated September 30, 2022, collectively known as a site plan set. Master plan drawings by Insight Engineering, Surveying, and Landscape Architecture, PC, dated September 30, 2022. A sketch plan entitled Proposed Lot Line Change, prepared for Nano's Garden, LLC, prepared by Insight Engineering, Surveying, and Landscape Architecture, PC, dated October 14, 2020, also known as the subdivision plat. Full Environmental Assessment Form, or FEAF, Part 1 by Insight Engineering, Surveying, and Landscape Architecture, PC, dated September 30, 2022. FEAF Part 2, Initial Draft by Insight Engineering, Surveying, and Landscape Architecture, PC. SECRA FEAF Narrative by Insight Engineering, Surveying, and Landscape Architecture, PC, dated September 30th, 2022, with the following appendices. Exhibit 1, Site Plan Drawings by Insight Engineering, Surveying, and Landscape. Architecture, PC, last dated September 30, 2022. Exhibit 2, Master Plan Drawings by Insight Engineering, Surveying, and Landscape Architecture, PC, dated September 30, 2022. Exhibit 3, Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan, dated September 30, 2022. Exhibit 4, Preliminary Wastewater Engineers Report, dated September 30, 2022. Exhibit 5, Preliminary Water Facilities Engineers Report, dated September 30, 2022. Exhibit 6, DCDB and CH submission from April 18, 2022, and subsequent comment letter, dated June 20, 2022. Exhibit 7, Aquifer Compliance Letter from Insight Engineering, Surveying, and Landscape Architecture, PC, dated February 11, 2021. Exhibit 8, Phase 1 and Phase 2 Bog Turtle Survey by Jason Tesaro, dated July 13, 2017. Exhibit 9, Threatened and Endangered Species Report by Ecological Solutions, LLC, dated May 10, 2021. Exhibit 10, Phase 1 and Phase 2 Bog Turtle Habitat and Presence/Absence Survey by North County Ecological Services, Inc., dated June 30, 2021. Exhibit 11, Phase 1 Bog Turtle Habitat Evaluation Report by North County Ecological Services, Inc., dated June 3rd, 2022. Exhibit 12, New York State DEC submission, dated July 5, 2022, with comments from the New York State DEC, I'm going to go with, in an email dated August 31, 2022. Exhibit 13, Architectural Drawings by KG&D Architects, PC, dated June 3rd, 2022. Exhibit 14, View Sheds by KG&D Architects, PC. Exhibit 15, View Shed Study by Insight Engineering, Surveying, and Landscape Architecture, PC, dated February 11, 2021. Exhibit 16, Tracker Archaeology conducted a Phase 1A and Phase 1B and submitted to the New York State Historic Preservation Office, or SHPO, via the CRIS website on July 23rd, 2019. Response letter dated August 6, 2019, for aforementioned submission from New York State Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation. What should we call up here?
Archaeology is misspelled.
Okay, back up. Was submitted to the Town of Dover Planning Board on October 14, 2020, stating the planned project will have no adverse impact, no adverse effect.
A in there.
Archaeology?
A after the H.
All right. Exhibit 17, SHPO package, including an addendum, Phase 1B archaeological survey was submitted via the CRIS website on September 14, 2020. Response letter dated October 19, 2020 for aforementioned submission from the New York State Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, or SHPO, was submitted to the Town of Dover Planning Board on December 16, 2020, stating we have no further archaeological concerns regarding the addendum area. Okay, Exhibit 18, SHPO submission on June 3rd, 2022, with response letter stating no adverse impact dated June 27, 2022. Exhibit 19, traffic evaluation by Creighton Manning, revised September 30, 2022. Exhibit 20, Old Forge roadway improvement plan by Creighton Manning, dated September 2022. Exhibit 21, New York State DOT submission by Creighton Manning, submitted on February 18, 2022. Exhibit 22, New York State DOT submission by Creighton Manning, submitted on September 26, 2022. Exhibit 23, special event management plan by Creighton Manning, dated September 30, 2022. Exhibit 24, emergency action plan by Harlem Valley Homestead, submitted by applicant to Don Anderson, building inspector, on September 20, 2022, including the response letter to Harlem Valley Homestead by Don Anderson, dated September 26, 2022, and a response letter to Don Anderson by Joseph Berger, PE, dated September 26, 2022. Exhibit 25, sound study by VHB Engineering, Surveying, Landscape Architecture, and Geology, dated September 30, 2022. Exhibit 26, lighting plans by Goldstick Lighting Design, Ltd., revised September 30, 2022. Cutting and Fader LLP, letter of January 30, 2023, with the following appendices. Exhibit A, wood furnace specifications from central boiler, since withdrawn. Exhibit B, site diagram entitled Building Location Plan, prepared by KG&D Architects PC, dated June 3rd, 2022, and last revised January 30th, 2023. Exhibit C, Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan, addendum prepared by Insight Engineering, Surveying, and Landscape Architecture PC, and dated January 30th, 2023. Whereas agricultural uses are permitted in the RU and RC zoning districts, and whereas Country Inn and Conference Center uses are permitted in the RU and RC zoning districts subject to issuance of a special permit by the planning board, and whereas the project proposes to physically disturb approximately 25 acres of land, and whereas in accordance with the State Environmental Quality Review Act, or SECRA, the applicant submitted a FEAF dated December 15, 2022, and a revised FEAF dated September 30th, 2022.
Is the first one 2020 or 2022?
That's accurate, 2020.
2020.
You said 22.
Dated December 15th, 2020, and revised FEAF dated September 30th, 2022. And whereas pursuant to 6 NYCR, section 617.4, subsection B, subsection 6, subsection I, an activity other than the construction of residential facilities that involves the physical alteration of 10 or more acres constitutes a type 1 action under SECRA, and whereas on January 4, 2021, the Planning Board, after conducting a preliminary review of the FEAF and application materials, classified the project as type 1 action and circulated notice of its intent to serve as lead agency in a coordinated SECRA review, to which no other agency objected. And whereas on October 27, 2022, the project was referred to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development pursuant to Section 239-M of the General Municipal Law, which responded on December 5, 2022, that it was a matter of local concern with comments. And whereas the Planning Board held duly noticed public hearings on the project on September 20, 2021, October 4, 2021, November 15, 2021, December 5, 2022, January 23rd, 2023, and February 6, 2023, during which time the public has had the opportunity to testify and provide written comments for the Planning Board consideration. And whereas the Planning Board continues we haven't done it yet.
No, you did continue the hearing to that date.
Well, we continue, right, okay, thank you. The planning board continued the public hearing on the subdivision to March 6, 2023. Thank you, yes. And whereas there is an extensive environmental record before the planning board, including reports prepared by the applicant's consultants, the board's consultants, and public testimony, and whereas the planning board has considered the criteria contained in 6 NYC-RR 617.7 parts 2 and 3 of the FEAF and thoroughly analyzed all identified relevant areas of environmental concern as set forth in the narrative accompanying Part 3 of the FEAF. Now therefore be it resolved that for the reasons set forth in Parts 2 and 3 of the FEAF and the extensive environmental record for the project which are incorporated herein, the planning board hereby issues a negative declaration determining that the project will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts and that a draft environmental impact statement will not be prepared. Be it further resolved that the secretary to the planning board is hereby directed to file a copy of the resolution with the town clerk, the environmental notice bulletin, all interested involved agencies, and any person who has requested a copy, and to make all other filings required by law. This resolution is being offered by Member Lorbeer, seconded by
Second.
Member Sador. Okay. So again, the resolution was motioned and seconded as amended as we went. So I have saved it. That's a big concern for everyone. Is there any discussion on the resolution as amended? No discussion? Resolution adopting a secret determination of significance, negative declaration, Harlem Valley Homestead. The Secretary, please call the roll.
Member Valano?
Aye.
Member Sudor?
Aye.
Member Holmes?
Aye.
Member LaRobidier?
Aye.
Chair Courtine?
Aye. This resolution is thereupon adopted, 5-0 with 2 absences. Yes. Now we need to go to continuing the public hearing.
Yes, we do need to go to the hearing. I just wanted to note that the changes you made to the list of documents, you may want to copy and paste should the board go to the next resolution, because I'm sure the same, it's the same list.
Okay. Oh, my God.
There's a space,
Yep.
yeah.
All right, we'll skip over some of this, as previously read, I guess I'll say. All right. Okay, so before we get to this other resolution, we are going to continue the public hearing. This continued public hearing is focused on the subdivision of the subdivision approval, right?
Yes, it's on the subdivision.
So members of the public are asked to limit their comments to the purpose of the public hearing. Is there a list? We'll need to vote to continue it. I just want to, there's a list. All right. Motion to continue the public hearing made by Member Holmes, seconded by Delano. All those in favor of continuing this public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay, this public hearing for Holiday Homestead is continued. It's one person on the list. Charles Gottlieb, please come to the podium, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Charles Gottlieb, on behalf of David Ellman and Adam Hain. I had a submission that I emailed over today. I'll hand over hard copies. Obviously, the elephant in the room that my team and our consultants have been trying to express is emergency access, and inadequate emergency access as identified by your fire department. Something that has yet to be discussed, yet to be resolved, so forth and so on. So as such,
we retained a fire engineering expert, Doug Nadeau from Rand Fire Protection. Doug has done an initial review of the plans. I provided his memo along with other information in the packet. We do hope that you take a look at it, but it does feel as though the train is out of the gate, the horse is out of the gate, whatever the saying is.
Horse is out of the gate.
So please take a look at that. Again, that is from a fire protection engineer who trains the Department of State and local code enforcement officials on compliance with the New York State Fire Code. It would be great to see this board discuss the fire access issues and the emergency access plan, but that's your decision. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. There was no one else on the list. Is there any other members of the public who would like to speak at this public hearing for Harlem Valley Homestead focused on subdivision approval? Please come to the podium at this time. You can just state your name, please.
What's that?
Please state your name so I can write it down for the...
Roger Erickson, 42 Hillcrest Lane, Wingdale, New York.
Thank you, Mr. Erickson. You have 3 minutes.
I probably don't have anything useful to add to this. This is specifically just about the lot line, correct?
Yes, that's the purpose of this public hearing.
And one thing I'd like to know is what is
What is what?
What is the transaction that's taking place with this lot line dispute?
Our attorney could,
We
or
can
planner
pull
could.
it up.
Yeah. Just pause the time.
The applicant can summarize too. It's been on the table, so to speak, since
Yeah, right.
the first time they submitted. Has to do with,
If you look to the right, Ryan, see there's two.
I'm familiar with what's on the board.
Mhm.
What is it for? What is Harlem Valley Homestead needed for?
they can explain. I believe it has to do with the different uses, the agricultural versus the conference center.
Yeah.
So essentially, the center lot of our property is
the
100
pointer.
acres going from the Connecticut, thank you, that's wonderful, whoever's doing that, I greatly appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Going from the Connecticut border over to the river, the central part of the lot is 100 acres, and Old Forge Road actually is a user road, as you know, that we own the fee underneath it. That 100 acres, we are looking to move the line so it becomes 130, it says it, 130 acres.
I'll zoom
And
in.
then so we're taking the 60-acre lot, yeah, you're going, thank you.
Mhm.
Taking the 60-acre lot, which is the 30.1 acre, oops.
Sorry. Yeah.
So this lot right here is 60.3 acres, almost tall enough.
Right, the lower field.
Correct,
Yeah.
as you know it, correct. And we're splitting that lot in half. The top half of the lot is standing, in order to put all of the proposed development on one lot, because the health department requires no Y lines. So essentially what that means is you can't have you need to have all the infrastructure for water and wastewater on one lot.
Will any of that help with the problem that was just brought up by?
It has nothing to do with it. It is basically in order to come into compliance with the health department and having all the water and wastewater infrastructure on one lot, we are moving our lot line and splitting a 60-acre lot into a 30-acre lot, and then the other 30 acres, the 7 acres, is being attached to the 100 acres of the lot. So it has nothing to do.
So it does not improve the situation that was just met with
I don't know if you want me to go back.
No, it's fine. So, yeah, Mr. Alligator, you can have a seat. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's,
Thank you for giving me some clarity with
Yeah.
it. But I would have to say that it doesn't look like it this is not going to improve the situation of anything else that was discussed at this meeting.
Mhm.
And I just think this is wrong. I mean, I have to say it. I know there's probably nothing I can do about it. I think the planning board has put a lot of work into this. I just think you're wrong, and that time will tell. A project that big is going to have, there's no such thing as a literal impact with the kind of things that are being planned there. And just the construction alone is going to put an end to that place the way it has been for eons. As a haven for wildlife and for people, I don't think it's going to be a haven anymore, just as cars alone. I do it, and I suppose that's all I can say. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other members of the public would like to speak at this public hearing? Harlem Valley Homestead, please come to the podium at this time.
Hello.
Just need to state your name. And
My name is Samson Leonard. I was following this development for a long time.
Yep,
I was
3
coming to
minutes.
the planning board meetings back in 2018. I left the country for 3 years, and I'm back. I've always lived near the property, well, I grew up near the property,
Mhm.
and I just would like to put on record that I disagree with this project. I think it's going to be very bad for our community and where we live. And as far as the subdivision, I don't have anything to say, so that'll be my time. I just wanted to put that on record.
Okay, thank you. All right. Any other members of the public wishing to speak at this public hearing on Harlem Valley Homestead with a focus on the subdivision of land, please come to the podium at this time. All right, seeing no one approaching the podium, members of the planning board, I'm guessing someone would like to put forward a motion to close this public hearing.
So moved.
Motion made by Member Lorberdier, seconded by Member Holmes. Discussion on closing public hearing? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of closing this public hearing say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Okay, this public hearing is now closed. I vote of 5-0 with 2 absences. Okay. All right, so I'm going to read through the parts of the resolution that I didn't just read a little while ago. Then we can have any further discussion we'd like to have, and then we will vote. All right. Resolution granting preliminary layout and final subdivision approval, site plan, special use permit and architectural review board approval. Harlem Valley Homestead. Whereas the applicant, Harlem Valley Homestead LLC, has submitted an application for subdivision, lot line alteration, special use permit, site plan, architectural review board, and erosion sediment control permit approvals to establish a conference inn and conference center use consisting of an agricultural/educational center, farm stay lodging, educational workshops, retreats, and events on property located at 132-147 Old Forge Road, collectively known as the project. And whereas it's on those tax parcels, as you see there, that are located in the RU and RC zoning districts and partially within the floodplain, stream corridor, and aquifer overlay districts, and partially within New York State Agricultural District 23. And whereas the project would support an existing and active agricultural use on the site, and whereas the project includes the widening/paving of portions of Old Forge Road, as well the reconfiguration, as well as the reconfiguration of the Old Forge Road/Route 55 intersection. Whereas the project is depicted on, among other things, the following submissions for the applicant. Okay, these are what we just went through. I'm going to copy and paste from the previous resolution. Whereas agricultural uses are permitted in the RU and RC zoning districts, and whereas country and conference center uses are permitted in the RU and RC zoning districts, subject to issuance of a special permit by the planning board. And whereas pursuant to section 37-3 of the town code, in the event that the architectural review board does not have a necessary quorum to hold a meeting, the planning board shall have full authority and power to approve the conditions or the architectural plans and elevations submitted by an applicant. And whereas the project proposes to physically disturb approximately 25 acres of land, and whereas in accordance with SECR, the applicant submitted a FEAF Part 1 dated December 15, 2020, and revised FEAF dated September 30, 2022, and whereas pursuant to 6 NYCR section 617.4, subsection B, subsection 6, subsection I, an activity other than the construction of residential facilities that involves a physical alteration of 10 or more acres constitutes a Type 1 action in a SECR. And whereas on January 4, 2021, the planning board, after conducting a preliminary review of the FEAF and application materials, classified the project as Type 1 action and circulated notice of its intent to serve as lead agency in a coordinated SECR review to which no other agency objected. And whereas on October 27, 2022, the project was referred to the Dutchess County Department of the Planning and Development pursuant to Section 239-M of the General Municipal Law, which responded on December 5, 2022, that the matters of local concern with comments. And whereas the planning board has considered the county's comments regarding the location of the proposed river cabins and agrees with the applicant that locating the river cabins at the edge of the field and on the and on the south side of the drive, aka River Road, is consistent with the rural siting principles found in the town code and allows for more contiguous open space while meeting the building setback requirements of the Stream Corridor Overlay District. And whereas the planning board held duly noticed public hearings on the project on September 20, 2021, October 4, 2021, November 15, 2021, December 5, 2022, January 23, 2023, I would add in February 6, 2023, during which time the public had the opportunity to testify and provide written comments for the planning board's consideration. And whereas on February 6, 2023, the planning board undertook a detailed review of drafts of parts 2 and 3 of the FEAF for the project, and whereas on March 6, 2023, the planning board adopted a negative declaration determining that the project as proposed would not result in any significant adverse impacts and that a draft environmental impact statement would not be prepared. And whereas the planning board continued the public hearing on the subdivision to March 6, 2023, after the completion of the SECRA, and accepted final comments on the subdivision plat. And whereas during the public hearing, an issue was raised regarding the project's compliance with Section 145-38A, subsection 4 of the town law.
Yeah, of the zoning law, town zoning law.
Zoning law. And whereas members of the planning board have conducted a site walk of the site to observe existing conditions and the location of proposed improvements. And now therefore be it resolved that the board has considered the project's compliance with 145-38A, subsection 4 of the zoning law, and has determined in accordance with subsection 145-38A, subsection 4, subsection E, that the existing parking lot on the east side of the site, aka the farm core area, which is being improved as part of the project, is being brought into conformity with the requirements of the zoning law to the extent practical, taking into account the obligation of the planning board to exercise its review authority in a manner that does not unreasonably restrict or regulate farm operations pursuant to MAL Section 305-A, the existing agricultural use of the site, the impact that a 50-foot wide buffer along the entire property line would have on the agricultural fields, and the existing and proposed agricultural structures, including hoop houses, which would provide a visual buffer between the parking lot and the residential property to the north. As shown, as shown on the site diagram entitled Building Location Plan, prepared by KG&D Architects PC, dated June 3, 2022, and last revised January 30th, 2023, in order to comply with Section 145-38A, subsection 4, subsection E, the maximum extent practical. The applicant is proposing additional landscaping along its northerly border with the abutting Priest property, 196 Old Forge Road, consisting of an approximately 50-foot wide planted orchard of trees and willows per the orchard trees listed in the Old Forge Road plant list on drawing SP-1.8 of the site plan set. Be it further resolved that the planning board makes the following findings pursuant to section 145-63B of the zoning law. 1, project will comply with all land use district, overlay district, and other specific requirements of the zoning law and other applicable local codes and regulations, and will be consistent with the purposes of the zoning law and the land use district in which it is located. The site is comprised of 5 parcels, which total 247.99 acres, located in the town's rural or RU zoning district. The purpose of the RU district is to, quote, promote agricultural and compatible open space and rural uses by discouraging large-scale residential development, end quote. Section 145-8, subsection A, subsection 1. A portion of the project is in the town stream corridor overlay district, and no structures are proposed within 100 feet. Is in the town stream corridor overlay district, and no structures are proposed within 100 feet of the 10 Mile River. The project is a permitted use in the district and does not require any area variances. The zoning law provides supplemental regulations for a country inn and conference center in section 145-52.2 of the zoning law. As set forth below, the project satisfies all supplemental regulations. A conference inn / conference center shall be located on a parcel or assemblage of parcels containing a minimum of 200 acres of land or land and water. The site is 247.99 acres. A country inn and conference center provides commercial hospitality lodging in spacious settings that are principally intended for vacationing, group retreats, and conferences. Permitted are tourist lodging such as inns, cabins, and cottages, meeting and or conference rooms, a banquet or on-site catering facility, and commonly incidental recreation-oriented uses, including golf, spa facilities, horseback riding, swimming, tennis, hunting, and other similar outdoor activities. The project proposes to provide commercial hospitality lodgings in a spacious setting, an existing farm, principally intended to vacationing, group retreats, and special events such as weddings and conferences, limited to a maximum 200 people per event and no more than 18 such events per year. 42 lodging units are proposed in the following types of accommodations: 7 units in the quote-unquote hive lodging structure, 32 separate cabins, and 3 units in existing farmhouse proposed for renovation. Meeting facilities are proposed in the quote-unquote farmhouse, quote-unquote hive, and quote homestead house, end quote, in addition to informal gathering and recreational spaces. Indoor spaces at the, I'm not going to say quote anymore, farmhouse, Old Hill, barn, horse barn, library, and gathering barn are intended as spaces that could be utilized for recreational activities like yoga and rainy day activities like board games. C, the number of permitted guest units shall not be, C, the number of permitted guest units shall be no more than 1 guest unit per 2 acres of lot size. Guest units may be located in cabins, cottages, lodges, an inn, or any combination thereof. The site is 247.99 acres, but 2 parcels totaling 86.52 acres. That is 7260-00-981478 and 7260-00-089448 are burdened by a conservation easement. Using the calculation of 1 guest unit per 2 acres, the remaining 167.147 acres would allow 60 guest units more than what is proposed.
80.
What did I say?
60.
Acres would allow 80 guest units more than what is proposed. D, the maximum floor area of the total development shall not exceed 5% of the land included in the project proposal. Drawings M-1 and M-3 of the master plan set prepared by Insight Engineering dated September 30, 2022, including floor area square footages for the entire project. The building the building subject to special use permit approval. Buildings subject to special use permit approval, i.e. not the agricultural buildings, total approximately 63,978 square feet, or 0.6% of the site. E, a country inn conference center shall protect open space and other site features having aesthetic, historic, scenic, or environmentally sensitive value by clustering any buildings or structures to the maximum extent practicable. The project proposes to cluster buildings to protect open space and other site features in accordance with the Town of Dover rural siting principles. The project, whenever feasible, retains existing stone walls and hedgerows, traditional landscape features in the community. The project retains existing facilities and structures of historic importance to the area, and the proposed architectural and visual impact assessment has additionally been reviewed by the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, or OPRHP. The site is an active farm, and open land will continue to be utilized for agricultural operations such as crops, gardens, and pastures. The site currently contains approximately 3.4 acres of paved/developed area, including gravel work, yards, driveways, and buildings. The project's design favors development in areas previously disturbed, including existing gravel pads, roads, or driveways. The hospitality check-in/assembly and administration buildings, as well as the primary agricultural buildings, are concentrated in an area known as the Farm Core, east of Old Forge Road, in order to utilize existing impervious surfaces and parking in this area for updated parking and hospitality structures, therefore avoiding development on productive agricultural soils. The siting of the proposed cabins and other structures along the edge of agricultural areas and the placement of infrastructure maintain the proximity of contiguous farmland throughout the site. In addition, the use of existing farm roads for the project's proposed vehicular circulation is intended to minimize the disturbance required to create new vehicular access. OPRHP determined that the proposed project's design, including proposed improvements to Old Forge Road, will have no adverse impacts on viewsheds, archaeology, and historic resources. The existing farmhouse is being retained on site, as well as several outbuildings, in order to preserve the traditional building configuration of the region. The siting scale and materials associated with the proposed development are designed to align with the existing regional design character. Therefore, the proposed project is consistent with the community character. OPRHP issued letters on August 6, 2019, October 16, 2020, and June 27, 2022, stating the proposed project will have, quote, no adverse impact, end quote, on archaeological resources. OPRHP issued letters on May 6, 2019, December 9, 2020, May 25, 2021, and June 27, 2022, stating the project will have, quote, no adverse impact, end quote, on architectural resources. All proposed structures will be located outside the 100-foot setback of the 10 Mile River as required for principal structures located in the Town of Dover Stream Corridor Overlay District. Therefore, all necessary structures will also be located outside the 50-foot setback of the 10 Mile River. Through the course of developing the project design, the number of buildings along the 10 Mile River has been reduced, and the proposed hive location relocated to the east. All proposed construction will avoid wetlands. F, the planning board shall establish appropriate buffers between any component of the country inn/conference center and adjoining properties, given the use of adjoining parcels and the natural topography and vegetation cover. In determining the appropriate buffer, the planning board should consider the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation Program Policy, quote, assessing and mitigating visual impacts, end quote, dated July 31, 2000, or as updated. The planning board has reviewed the site plan set, viewshed impact study, architectural drawings, in addition to multiple presentations by the applicant and site visits, and finds that the existing and proposed buffers are appropriate given the nature of the site and the significant physical separation from neighboring residential uses. These buffers include existing perimeter forested areas to remain, new landscaping, and natural barriers such as the 10 Mile River and related topography. The applicant provided a set of cross-sections illustrating the distance between neighboring residences and the closest planned structure, including changes in topography and intervening vegetation / natural features. Old Forge Road is a town road that bisects the subject property, although located within the project's property line. The project has provided screening along Old Forge Road and at select locations such as in front of the seasonal cabins and the Hive to screen views from Old Forge Road towards the proposed development. The screening will be accompanied with vegetation as shown in the Old Forge Road viewshed rendering analysis. The building materials and color palette were selected to complement the existing agricultural architecture. The February 11, 2021 viewshed impact study reviewed 26 viewsheds from public resources surrounding the subject property. The study shows that the visibility of the proposed project will be mostly blocked by topography or screened by vegetation. In the limited areas where the project is visible, mitigation to be provided as part of the project's design includes proposed siting and architecture of the new structures which reflect the farm's current visual characteristic. Potential impacts to aesthetic resources will be avoided or have a small impact. The Appalachian Trail is located to the east and north of the site. Portions of the site can be viewed from the northern Schaghticoke Mountain overlook, which showcases a wide view of the adjacent valley. Visitors' range of view from the Schaghticoke Mountain overlook reaches over 9 miles, and hikers can see the site located 1.5 miles away, as well as several residences in the valley. The existing viewshed to the site includes the already developed portions of the site, including pole barns, the farmhouse barns, and hoop houses. The site's existing agricultural fields are also visible. The new structures proposed will be located along the edges of existing agricultural fields and pastures and are designed to align with the farm's existing visual character. This is accomplished through the architecture, scale, colors, and materials that complement the existing architecture. As noted above, the proposed architecture, including any proposed revisions, was reviewed by OPRHP, which has issued the project findings letter of, quote, no adverse impact, end quote. G, all country and conference center that anticipate gatherings in excess of 500 people shall prepare a large event management plan that shall be provided to the planning board during site plan approval. The planning board shall refer the large event management plan to the fire department, ambulance company, and the New York State Police for a report and recommendation. The adopted large event management plan shall be considered part of the approved site plan and shall be enforceable as such. Large event is defined as a planned event such as a wedding, conference, or sporting competition with more than 500 attendees. This management plan shall include provisions for traffic and parking management, hours of operation, noise abatement, toilet facilities, and maximum number of guests. This management plan shall govern all public events. The project will not host events that exceed 500 people. The applicant has provided a traffic study to assess the impacts of 200-person events. H, the planning board may increase the maximum footprint of a country and conference center structure up to 20,000 square feet, provided that the following conditions are met. A, the structure is not located on a ridgeline, and B, the structure would not create an unmitigated adverse impact to any scenic viewsheds, in particular views from public recreational resources such as the Appalachian Trail, Swamp River, and or scenic byways. And C, the building is appropriately located on the site, and landscaping is utilized to minimize its visibility from adjacent residences and public roadways. And D, the structure is subject to review by the Town of Dover Architectural Review Board. And E, any adverse impacts on water resources shall be mitigated to the maximum extent practicable. The planning board finds that a proper case exists for permitting the maximum allowable footprint of 4,000 square feet to be increased for the hospitality hub to 5,840 square feet, and the Homestead House 11,800 square feet, as these proposed buildings are not located on ridgelines and will not create unmitigated adverse impacts to views from public resources, including the Appalachian Trail. Structures are proposed in the farm core area, which is an existing disturbed location containing a cluster of existing structures. The buildings are appropriately located to minimize visibility from adjacent residences and public roadways. The structures have been submitted to the planning board, citing sitting as the Agricultural Review Board, and there are no adverse impacts to water resources. Letter I, outdoor lighting shall be the minimum required for safety of vehicular and pedestrian access ways and shall be downcast lighting. Outdoor lighting shall not be directed outward toward neighboring properties. Proposed outdoor lighting has been designed to meet the minimum requirement. The minimum required for safety of vehicular and pedestrian access ways and consists of downcast lighting. Outdoor lighting will not be directed outward toward neighboring properties. The project's current lighting plan, prepared by Gold Stick Lighting Design, were submitted March 4, 2022, and updated for submission September 30, 2022. All the lighting fixtures have a downward light distribution. The light sources are enclosed by a metal housing so that all the light emitted is below horizontal. Refer to the submission set drawing number LP 1.8, showing photos and illustrations of all specified exterior lighting fixtures. J, a restaurant for public or private events with a small brewing component is included as an accessory use to the applicant's project. This facility meets the Country Inn requirements that all kitchen facilities are suitably screened from adjoining properties, and noise and odors from normal operations of the kitchen facilities do not create a nuisance condition on adjoining properties. A restaurant for public or private events with a small brewing component is included as an accessory use to the project. This facility meets the Country Inn requirements that all kitchen facilities are suitably screened from adjoining properties, and noise and odor from normal operations of the kitchen facilities do not create a nuisance condition on adjoining properties. The proposed commercial kitchen facility at the Homestead House will have its exhaust fans on the eastern side of the main roof ridge, thus screening the exhaust equipment from Old Forge Road, located to the west. The nearest adjoining property to the east is approximately 1,400 feet away, and no noise or odor nuisance is anticipated to adjoining properties. A smaller outdoor cooking area on the west facade of the Homestead House will also be screened from Old Forge Road, 150 feet away to the east. Landscape design currently under development proposes a planting buffer with mixed small to medium shrubs for screening and large canopy shade trees about midway between the Homestead House and Old Forge Road. The kitchen at the farmhouse is significantly smaller compared to the Homestead House and does not require an exterior exhaust system. The current design calls for a recirculating hood assembly, and no noise or odor nuisance is anticipated to adjoining properties. K, all country inns shall be equipped with central sprinkler and fire alarm systems and must meet all local building and fire codes. The structures for the Country Inn Conference Center will be equipped with central sprinkler and fire alarm systems as required by local building and fire codes. Buildings to be sprinkled are shown as required per New York State Building Code and are identified on drawing M-3 of the master plan set submitted by Insight Engineering dated September 30, 2022. Details for all sprinkler and fire alarm systems will be provided as part of the project's submission to the Town of Dover Building Department for individual building permits. L, the following amusement and sports facilities are permitted for the use of the Country Inn and Conference Center guests. 1, swimming pools and spas. 2, children's playground. 3, tennis and other game courts. 4, game or recreation rooms. 5, golf course. 6, golf driving range. 7, equestrian center. 8, hunting sports. The project proposes to provide a swimming pool and spa and indoor game or recreation rooms as permitted for the use of the Country Inn and Conference Center guests. 2, the project will not result in excessive off-premise noise, dust, odors, solid waste, or glare, or create any public or private nuisances. Noise. The applicant has provided a sound study of the project, which included identifying noise-sensitive receptor locations or residences near the site, conducting ambient sound measurements in the study area, predicting construction and operational sound from a range of potential events, including amplified music, assessing compliance with applicable noise guidelines, and recommending strategies to minimize potential noise impact. The scope of the project has been reduced to eliminate the size and number of permitted outdoor events annually. Further, the applicant has committed to implementing noise reduction measures, including locating and orienting speakers away from property lines and residential receptors, installing a pre-calibrated house music system at the farmhouse, and conducting sound monitoring during events. Smoke and dust. The project originally proposed 35 seasonal interior fireplaces, 9 outdoor fire rings, and a wood-burning boiler in the farm core area for supplement to heat. After concerns were raised regarding the potential for smoke from the wood-burning boiler to cause a nuisance to neighboring properties, the applicant withdrew the wood-burning boiler from the project. Based on the assessment provided in the project's FEAF narrative, the planning board finds that the seasonal operation of fireplaces and the outdoor fire rings will not exceed air emission thresholds established by SEQR or result in excessive smoke or dust. Lighting glare. Proposed outdoor lighting has been designed to meet the minimum required for safety of vehicular and pedestrian access ways and consists of downcast lighting. Outdoor lighting will not be directed outwards toward neighboring properties. The project's current lighting plan predicted by Goldstick Lighting Design were submitted March 4, 2022 and updated for submission September 30, 2022. 3, the project will not cause significant traffic congestion, impair pedestrian safety, or overload existing roads considering current width, surfacing, and condition, and any improvements proposed to be made to them by the applicant. The project includes the widening and paving of portions of Old Forge Road, a town dirt/gravel user road, and improvements to its intersection with New York State Route 55. Old Forge Road currently serves approximately 80 vehicle trips per day, making it a, quote, low-volume road, end quote, as defined by the American Association of State Highway Transportation officials, also known as AASHTO. The addition of 310 daily trips on a Sunday, which is a conservative estimate, will still fall within the threshold of a, quote, low-volume road, end quote, which is less than 2,000 vehicles per day. Nevertheless, the applicant and the town have agreed to widen portions of the road and to pave it to be 18 feet wide with 3 inches of asphalt binder coat for a length of 6,300 feet. A traffic study was conducted to determine if the roadway network could handle traffic during special events at the site. It is anticipated that a wedding would generate the greatest number of visitors with a maximum of 200 guests and 10 support staff. It was determined that a maximum of approximately 54 vehicles are expected to arrive Friday afternoon between 5 and 6 p.m., while a maximum of approximately 65 vehicles are expected to leave between 10 and 11 p.m. Worst case level of service analysis indicates that the study area intersections will continue to operate adequately when the proposed development is fully operational with a special event. The project will be accessible to fire, police, and other emergency vehicles. The project will be accessible to fire, police, and other emergency vehicles. J.H. Ketchum Hose Company has raised concerns about accessibility to the site during flood events. The applicant prepared and submitted an emergency action plan, or EAP, which was reviewed by the planning board and its consultants, the town engineer, and the town code enforcement officer. In a letter dated September 26, 2022, the town code enforcement officer states that the EAP meets all town of Dover requirements and addresses, quote, the fire company's concerns about access during a major flooding event, end quote. By letter dated September 26, 2022, the town engineer also concluded that the EAP satisfies, quote, the concerns of the town as well as the concerns of the J.H. Ketchum Hose Company, ... end quote. 5, the project will not overload any public water, drainage, or sewer system or any other municipal facility. The project will use private water and wastewater systems. Stormwater will be treated on site. Stormwater pollution prevention plan, or SWIP, has been prepared in accordance with GP 0-20-001, reviewed by the planning board engineer, and will be filed with the New York State DEC. 6, the project will not materially degrade any watercourse or other natural resource or ecosystem or endanger the water quality of an aquifer. The project does not disturb any wetlands and complies with the town's stream corridor restrictions, which are intended to protect water resources. 7, the project will be suitable for the property on which it is proposed, considering the property's size, location, topography, vegetation, soils, natural habitat, and hydrology, and, if appropriate, its ability to be buffered or screened from neighboring properties and public roads. The project site is 247.99 acres in size, larger than the minimum required for a country and conference center, and is located near the intersection of a state highway. new construction has been sited along the edge of fields or within existing disturbed areas to minimize aesthetic impacts and protect open space and agricultural fields. The siting scale and materials of the proposed new structures are consistent with the regional rural agricultural design character. The project's landscaping plan incorporates several areas of new plantings to provide screening when viewed from Old Forge Road and neighboring properties to the extent practical given the site's agricultural use. 8, the project will be subject to such conditions on operation, design, and layout of structures and provisions of buffer areas as may be necessary to ensure compatibility with the surrounding uses and protect the natural, historic, and scenic resources of the town. 9, the project will be consistent with the goal of buffering non-residential uses that are incompatible with residential use. The board does not find that the project is incompatible with residential use. However, the project includes the incorporation of several recommendations to minimize potential noise and traffic impacts on the area from special events. Large special events have been limited to not more than 200 people, 18 times per year. The existing and proposed parking lots will be screened by existing and new vegetation and by agricultural structures. 10, the project will not adversely affect the availability of affordable housing within the town. 11, the project will comply with all applicable site plan criteria. 12, the project is within a residential district and will have no greater overall off-site impact than would full development of the site, which with uses permitted by right. Single-family homes are permitted as a right in the RU district at a density of 1 dwelling unit per acre on the unencumbered 167 acres. A maximum of 167 single-family homes could be constructed. Even reducing this number by 25% to allow for roadways and driveways would result in more impacts on water usage, traffic, and community character than the project, which preserves the agricultural character of the site. Be it further resolved that pursuant to Section 145-52.2 H of the zoning law, the planning board hereby finds that a proper case exists for permitting the maximum allowable footprint of 4,000 square feet to be increased for the hospitality hub to 5,840 square feet and the homestead house to 11,800 square feet. As the buildings are not located on ridge lines, will not create unmitigated adverse impacts to views from public resources, including the Appalachian Trail. The buildings are appropriately located to minimize visibility from adjacent residences and public roadways. Structures have been submitted to the planning board, sitting as the architectural review board, and there are no adverse impacts to water resources. Be it further resolved that pursuant to 145-38A, subsection 3, subsection B of the zoning law, the planning board hereby modifies the parking requirement for the Country and Conference Center, a lodging facility, based on the maximum number of employees on site due to shifts and availability of an overflow parking area. Be it further resolved that the planning board hereby waives the requirements of 125-18 of the subdivision law, as all relevant information is provided on the site plan set. And be it further resolved that the planning board hereby grants preliminary layout and final subdivision plat approval to the subdivision plat and authorizes the chair or his designee to sign the subdivision plat after compliance with the following conditions. 1, payment of all fees in escrow. 2, the final subdivision plat shall have owners, planning board, and Department of Health approval blocks and meet all requirements of the Chapter 125 of the Town Code and be titled as final subdivision plat. 3, approval by the attorney to the planning board of a deed conveying a portion of the lot identified as 7260-00-062777 to the owner of the lot identified as 7260-00-123597 and a deed combining this newly conveyed piece with the newly conveyed piece with the into the receiving lot. What's that? Conveyed piece.
The owner of the lot and a deed combining the newly conveyed piece. It should just say into the receiving lot or with the receiving lot.
With the receiving lot. I'll read number 3 again. Approval by the attorney to the planning board of a deed conveying a portion of the lot identified as 7260-00-062777 to the owner of the lot identified as 7260-00-123597 and a deed combining the newly conveyed piece with the receiving lot. 4, the Old Forge Road easement shall be shown on the final subdivision plat. Be it further resolved that the planning board, sitting as the architecture review board, hereby approves the project, determining that the design, massing materials, and placement of alterations to existing structures and proposed new structures are compatible with the traditional rural agricultural character of the area and are consistent with the, quote, small town agricultural character of Dover. Be it further resolved that the planning board hereby grants site plan approval to the project in accordance with the site plan set and authorizes the chair or his authorized designee to sign the site plan set after compliance with the following conditions. 1, payment of all fees in escrow. 2, revision to the site plan set to remove the previously proposed biomass boiler from the farm core area. 3, revision to the site plan set to include the additional landscaping proposed along the farm core area's northerly boundary with the abutting Priest property, 196 Old Forge Road, consisting of an approximately 50-foot wide planted orchard of trees and willows per the orchard trees listed on the Old Forge Road plant list on sheet SP-1.8. This revision shall be consistent with the information provided on the site diagram entitled Building Location Plan prepared by KG&D Architects PC dated June 3, 2022 and last revised January 30, 2023. 4, proof of recordation of the approved conveyance and consolidation deed with the Dutchess County Clerk. 5, filing of the final subdivision plat with the Dutchess County Clerk. 6, proof of filing of the easements required for the widening of Old Forge Road as set forth in the October 4, 2022 letter from the Highway Superintendent with the Dutchess County Clerk. 7, Dutchess County Department of Behavioral and Community Health for methods of water supply and water disposal. 8, issuance of a speedies permit for wastewater discharges by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. 9, submission of detailed emergency access plan to Town Code Enforcement Officer and Town Engineer. 10, submission of a performance bond in an amount recommended by the Planning Board in form, substance, and manner of execution acceptable to the Town Engineer to cover the cost of paving Old Forge Road. Be it further resolved that the Planning Board hereby grants a special use permit approval for a country and conference center to the applicant, which will be subject to the following ongoing conditions of operation, and failure to comply with such conditions may result in a violation of this approval and the revocation of the special use permit. 1, events at the site shall be limited to 200 guests. 2, no more than 18 large events are permitted per year. A large event is one which is expected to have more than 150 guests, inclusive of guests staying on site. 3, the applicant shall comply with the following noise mitigation measures during large events. Locate and orient speakers away from property lines and residential receptors. B, coordinate with DJs and bands to keep sound levels within the required limits. C, install a house music system at the farmhouse for events which is pre-calibrated and controlled to meet applicable sound level limits. And D, conduct sound monitoring during outdoor events near the property lines, at the cabin locations, and in the north field when amplified music is used. 5, compliance with and completion of the requirements in the October 4, 2022 letter from Highway Superintendent Jason Sartori regarding Old Forge Road paving agreement. 6, compliance with all conditions of DOT's highway work permit for the Old Forge Road / Route 55 intersection, including annual traffic reports as required by DOT. 7, construction activity shall be limited to between 7 a.m. and 9 p.m. in accordance with Chapter 107 of the Town Code and shall otherwise comply with the requirements of Chapter 107 and New York State DEC guidelines as outlined in the project's sound study dated September 30, 2022, prepared by VHB Engineering, Surveying, Landscape, Architecture, and Geology. Be Be it further resolved that the applicant shall return to the planning board for approval of the erosion sediment control permit. Be it further resolved that the certificate of occupancy for the lodging structure identified on the site plan set as the Hive will not be issued until Old Forge Road is paved, and a letter indicating that said paving was done to the satisfaction of the highway superintendent is provided to the planning board and code enforcement official. This resolution is being offered by
So moved.
Member Sador, seconded by
Second.
Member Lowerdeer. Discussion. Any member of the planning board have any discussion about this resolution? Okay.
As
Attorney Polidoro?
As Planner Warner pointed out earlier, there is not a condition limiting the number of cords of wood that can be burned in the fireplaces annually.
Mhm.
We can add that as a continuing condition of special use permit if you would like. They've committed to a certain number.
Mhm.
It would be under, the special use permit. It could be a continuing condition of approval.
That could be letter, number 8.
Yeah, it would be 8.
Okay.
$165 cords.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find the language somewhere.
Oh, we could just say no more than 165
Okay.
cords of wood to be burned annually.
Yeah, so it's 165 cords of wood annually and 8.7 tons of wood pellets annually.
But that's not needed anymore.
Yeah, you don't
According
have wood
to-
pellets in a fireplace.
You could still use
Wood
it.
pellets,
I guess it depends on the type of fireplace they have.
should we just leave it to the wood and not wood pellets? I mean, it's up to.
What is fine? Thank you.
No more than 165 cords of wood to be burned
Yeah.
annually. Okay, so motion to amend the resolution as shown on the screen in front of members of the planning board and the public. And that reads number 8, no more than 165 cords of wood to be burned annually. Motion to amend this resolution made by myself, seconded by member Villano. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing no discussion on the amendment, all in favor of the amendment say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Okay, the resolution thereupon amended.
So, Chairman, I also want to confirm, earlier during the public testimony portion of the meeting, it was said that a letter was submitted with attachments, and I just want to make sure the planning board reviewed those attachments and has considered it before voting. It was a letter from Charlie Gottlieb. Marilyn, did you receive it?
The
It wasn't
last
handed
one.
out.
Last one.
I think so. That's-
That's from Neil Alexander.
Maybe above it?
The letter that was sent in today.
Today,
Yes,
from,
Charlie
Charles
Gottlieb.
Gottlieb.
Did you bring a hard copy for the board? Okay. You should,
Well, whenever you're ready.
it might be the one above it. Try the one above it. Because it came in at 3:30, so,
there.
Okay.
okay, thank you.
We're not going to read that out loud.
This is not timely. for
Yes,
public
I mean,
comments,
seriously.
though. We weren't still accepting public comments today,
Right.
so
This
it's
is
not
on-
really. You're setting a precedent to open things up for anybody disregarding the deadline.
To just keep submitting stuff right at the last minute to
Well,
try and delay. And
We closed the hearing. I just wanted to make sure, it was submitted as part of the hearing, so I want to make sure you saw it.
Well, it was submitted as part, it was improperly submitted as part of the hearing on the subdivision.
Right.
It doesn't say anything about the subdivision. It's a very lengthy, and I didn't really study it carefully, but I did skim over it, and it seems to me like you already addressed everything in the narration and what we read. But I mean, if you want to still go through it.
I just wanted the board members to confirm they'd received it prior to the meeting and have read it.
I did. Came in an email. Did we get the email?
The most disturbing thing I saw was the thing about the fire inspector, but then on further study, I see that that was incorrect, that the town engineer and the zoning, or the building code enforcement officer had already looked at it and addressed that.
Yeah, we did.
So,
We looked at that extensively for a long period of time. It wasn't something that was done
Right.
with that intent and deliberation.
yeah.
You can have mine.
Yeah, I just got one, thank you.
Let me stamp it as received by us.
Okay.
In addition, Mr. Chairman, in addition to the building inspector and myself deliberating and reviewing the issue of the Old Forge Road and the higher access and access, we also consulted with Cornell Local Roads. So we did reach outside of our expertise along with Cornell Local Roads, which the planning board is where it provides professional expertise to small towns on local roads. And they directed us and gave us the sufficient information that Don and I needed to come to our conclusion. Just want to point that out for the record.
Sal,
Okay, so,
press them down.
so this is an existing road that will be improved as part of the project?
It will be widened to 18 feet. It will be paved, so it'll be easier. It cannot be raised because of the lower section which floods. It cannot be, it's not necessary to.
Right.
It floods, always has flooded. And we reviewed their emergency action plan, and we found that it was sufficient to address those issues.
Okay. And so, everyone is aware of this. If Farnham Valley Homestead proceeds with having some event during a emergency situation, I would think they do so at their own civil peril. That's really for them. I can think of other areas of the town that are at different times inaccessible, such as if we have a blizzard, it might be very hard to get up to Pauling Lake Estates, which
Correct.
is mostly part of, mostly contained within the town of Dover.
Correct.
We're not asking a bunch of people from Pauling Lake Estates to not live there when there's a blizzard.
Correct.
I'm sure we can come up with other examples within the town of there's, only one way to access, such as Camp Rama off of Lake Ellis Road, yada, yada, yada. What else do we need to discuss? Anything?
No. Only that, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, please.
The cursory look at it and hearing from the neighbors implied that that the town, including consultants, did not look at this seriously and overlooked it, or just glossed over it. The topic of this road was present on day one, many years ago, when we started this project, and was discussed for at least a year and a half before a decision was arrived at by the building inspector and myself in making that recommendation to the board. And it was brought to many meetings and many days and meetings of topics. It was not glossed over. I assure the board it was not glossed over in any way, shape, or form. It was always a point of conversation, even when we were meeting on the site with the DOT. So we did think of this from day one as one of our things that we had to address. And once we addressed it, we stopped talking about it. And that's when, unfortunately, this has been discussed for many years.
Yes. Thank you, Engineer Berger, Planner Werner, Attorney Polidoro. Anything to add? Not that you need to. Okay. Any members of the planning board wish to make any further comments? Ask any questions of our consultants at this time? Okay. So, back to the matter at hand. We have this resolution as amended. Any further discussion on the amended resolution? Planner Werner, Attorney Polidoro, anything further?
No, we were just reviewing all of the attachments,
There's a lot.
a lot of attachments.
Okay. So, seeing no further discussion, resolution granting preliminary layout and final subdivision approval, site plan, special use permit, and architectural review board approval for Harlem Valley Homestead. Secretary, please call the roll.
Member Valano?
Aye.
Member Sador?
Aye.
Member Holmes?
Aye.
Member LaRobier?
Aye.
Chair Cortine.
Aye. Resolution thereupon adopted 5-0 with 2 absences.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. All right. Good luck. I think you're just at the end of the beginning, so luck to you. All right, next we have public hearing, Stony Brook Estates. Before we continue this public hearing, have we received anything
have
from
received
Stony Brook
nothing.
Estates?
Hi. We did not receive an update. They did not make the deadline, and
I reached out and I got no response.
Did they make any requests about
No,
what should
nothing,
happen with this public hearing?
nothing.
Okay. Motion to open the public, motion to continue this public hearing at Stony Brook Estates. Motion made by
So moved.
Member Sador, seconded by Member Villano. To continue the Stony Brook Estates public hearing, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say no. Okay, this public hearing is now continued. Did anyone sign up to speak at this public hearing?
Did anybody?
Doubtful.
Let Engineer Berger have a seat.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you.
No, it's not your job.
I didn't think we were having anybody. It was empty.
Is there somebody on there?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
I was busy reading.
Okay, you need that? Sure, I might. Thank you. Okay, first on the list is Edward Yeno. Please come to the podium. Pass that down to the secretary. Thank you. Evening, you have 3 minutes.
Oh, this one.
Could you please move the mic,
Just move the mic a little
move
closer.
the mic closer, please? Thank you.
Just here tonight, I know we've been here for a long time now. Seems like the applicant is not moving forward with this project or not taking it serious. I asked tonight on behalf of myself I've been here several months in a row. I take time out of my life, my family time, to be here as long as all of you. I have asked questions over the past several months, yet to receive many answers. Was wondering if you were able to look at the dimensional table concerning the driveway, the road that's being presented.
So those sorts of answers would come through the applicant to our consultants and to us as planning board members. And again, please correct me if I'm wrong. Let me just pause your time here. We have not received any updates from the applicant.
No.
No.
No, but my question was to the board
Mhm.
about your dimensional table, and I believe that when you have a private road and it intersects a New York State highway, you must own 100 feet of road frontage in order to have a private road in the town of Dover. You yourself said you would look into that dimensional table, and I was wondering if you did, because the applicant only owns 70 feet of road frontage on Route 22. And I believe the offset between the roads is less than 150 feet, which is required by the town of Dover.
Let me pause your time again, Attorney Polidoro or Planner Werner.
So I will go back in the records. I did look at this several months ago when the issue was raised, and I am recalling that it had to do with the fact that it was a flexible subdivision. It was a much larger parcel that was then broken down. But I'll take another look next time they're on the agenda and
Okay. Before next time there.
before next
Yeah.
time, yes.
Okay.
We'll talk about it.
Okay. All right. Mr. Eno, you have a minute 20 left. Please continue.
Okay, you know, my family's lived here for 75 years on our property, owned it, operated it, paid taxes, you know, we go by the book. It seems that all our concerns have been pushed to the wayside. We have had no mediation with the applicant. They're very unwilling to work with us in any which way whatsoever concerning, you know, the height of the road, the drainage issues, which New York State deemed as their problem, and it still continues to flood my property. And I would like something done about it by this board. You know, this is our town, and people are ruining my property and my adjacent property. You know, this is a much larger issue than, we have major drainage issues in the town of Dover. I don't see how we can allow to put 40 more acres of runoff water into a stream that we're already having flooding downstream on Nellie Hill without that water going in. You know, we need to look at the infrastructure that we have already that's failing before we approve a project of this magnitude. My next question to the town board is
Planning board.
what happens if the town water supply is compromised? What's plan B?
Okay, well, your time has expired, but again, it's as the last plans that we had from the applicant, the water was going to be going through piping down to the Dover Stone Church Brook, and our engineer can speak further to what would happen there.
They have not been presented to us, but DOT has directed them to solve that problem. And one of their proposals was to drain the water to the pond,
Right.
into the bypass pipe that goes by the pond,
Right.
which goes directly to the creek, which will go off the property. So the only thing draining onto Machino's property would be what's going there now.
So
That's
no,
what they're proposing.
When you mentioned the 40 acres, I mean, the 40 acres, the property is going to have the water concentrated to those pipes, and then that's going to go to.
They're going to go into either to the pond or into the diversion pipes,
Yeah.
yes.
Right, but the letter that was sent by DOT was referring to the drainage pipe that runs through my property, which I do not have an easement for and will not grant an easement. That was the water that was pertained to in that letter.
That's separate from what the DOT asked for solution in their proposal that they said they would come to us with, which we haven't seen, was to collect the water from their road, which is the private road, and send it to either the diversion pipes or to the pond.
But that's not the water that was stated in the letter.
Those are two separate issues.
Right.
One is the issue of the water from Route 22, which has nothing to do with this project.
But it does.
No, it doesn't.
They have a New York State easement on their property.
They're proposing, if they come to us with it, and it's just what they told us in the field, their proposal, and we haven't seen it yet, is to collect the water from their road and send it to the diversion pipes or to the pond. The water from Route 22 will continue to go where it always has gone, and that's an issue between DOT and you.
That's not what was stated by the.
That's not DOT. DOT is asking for a resolution. I'm telling you what the applicant told us that they're going to propose, which we have not seen yet.
And we can't take, you know, if they don't have an approval for a project, we as the planning board can't make them do anything.
Yes.
Or we can only make applicants do things if they have approval.
I mean, you do have the right, because if they're in violation of town codes, then you do have the right to make them do something with the property or divert water.
Well, that's not what, the planning board doesn't. The code enforcement officer could if they are in violation.
Make a decision on whether that action can be taken.
Again, we are only approving or not approving of projects, and then subsequent to the approval, there will be,
Correct.
stipulations. If we don't approve their project, we can't make them do anything as the planning board. Again, the code enforcement officer may be able to make them do something if they are in violation of town code or, something else.
Now, Mr. Chairman, our approval will also require a new DOT permit. So the solution, the DOT will accept from the water on Route 22 through Mr. Yano's property is separate from ours, but that's a DOT concern, which has to be approved by DOT, and then the permit will be presented to this board as a part of your acceptance of the site. But that's independent of us, because we
can't make the DOT.
We can't tell the DOT what the DOT wants to take or not take relevant to the stormwater on Route 22. We only have control over the water that's going onto the new road.
Gino? Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, also, it's just
Yes.
to remind the board, protection of the water system is a health department concern. We will certainly monitor what they're doing and making sure they're hearing their concerns.
Right.
But, that's really Dutchess County Health Department will be looking at that. And the DEC looks at the sewer, the subsurface system.
Okay, thank you, Engineer Berger.
But the question was
Mr. Gino?
what is Plan B if it is compromised?
Right. So again,
Because it's not-
Mr. Eno, that you sat down. We're going. We can only address if there's an application in front of us. That's when we can address those things. Right now, we have a public hearing that is, Charlie Brown and football. Like it just keeps going and going. So, Heather Eno, you have 3 minutes.
I'm Heather Nino, and a couple meetings ago I was here and I asked about putting public signs up for the public hearing, and I was told it only had to be done once. Sorry. In your Dover laws, 145-62, Section 3, for all major projects, the applicant shall be required to post a notice and a sign purchased from town clerk stating that there is pending application of the property, providing the date and the time and place of the hearing, to be reviewed by the public, and a telephone number and call and further information. The sign shall be posted in public view in conspicuous location within 3 days after the planning board establishes a public hearing date. The shall be updated if more hearing dates are scheduled and shall remain in place until after the day of the hearing is closed. Only 3 signs have been on there since May of '21.
You mean they're taking their sign down?
They've never put one up except for 3 times since May of '21. I advised you guys of this back in October, and it still hasn't been done. One in June, one in June, one in August, and one in October. That's it. So how can we tell the public in the public hearing if we're not even following Dover's laws? 2, how close is the firehouse going to be, or the septic of the firehouse going to be to the proposed road? The pond, our pond, is still too close to our raised mound. We have a raised mound, not a regular septic. And in your laws 145-34B, it states that in the event of a construction or structure is stopped, building materials by the property owner and any excavation, open excavation with depths greater than 2 feet below existing grade shall be either promptly filled in and topsoil replaced, or shall be entirely surrounded by a fence at least 6 feet high and all effectively block access to the area of the excavation. I see people walking back there constantly. It's not safe. In another, they filled this application out. It's not completed. Some things are not even filled out yes or no. They never signed it. How can we go, if I go to DMV to go fill an application for my license, they're not going to give it to me if I don't sign my application. This is not even a complete application. We've wasted so much time here. The maps, they're inaccurate. The firehouse addition is not on the maps. The septic's not on the maps for the firehouse. Our basins that they covered 6 foot under that's connecting to our property are not on the maps. We keep going over maps that are 25 years old, and they keep making lines over everything else. On your map where it says that water comes into our property, it's halfway up our driveway, which is not where it comes in our driveway. You've all been there and seen it. It's at the end of the yard.
Please finish your thought.
I'm sorry.
No, you're
And
fine.
then you also have in your 145-34, section 65-9, I believe it states that it says the site plan approval shall expire if the applicant fails to obtain the necessary building permits or fails to comply with the conditions of the site plan approval within 18 months of the issuance, or if the special permit with which it is associated expires. Site plans that have expired shall not be eligible for renewal. That's your laws. And we're here doing this. So how do we go against your own laws?
Well, I believe, Mr. Chairman, I believe the application's a new application. We're not going for a renewal, and we haven't gotten a formal, full submission from the last time we told them that. And we're basically waiting for those completed drawings addressing all this. Well, I understand, we're waiting for this. We can't go force them to give us stuff. We're waiting for these things to come to us to review. We have not received anything.
Okay, and then the other thing is like, it was already brought to somebody's attention today. They're not meeting any deadlines. So what's a deadline if there's no consequences? What's a deadline if they can keep just sending in a letter after the fact, or have an engineer here after the fact to say, oh, I have this or I have that? I'm not saying he's done that yet, but I mean, he's here for a reason. But nothing's been submitted, not even an adjournment letter this month. We have not seen the applicants since November.
Ms. Eno, I hear you. I think we all hear you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wishing to speak at this public hearing, please come to the podium at this time for Stony Brook Estates. All right, seeing no one else approaching the podium, I'll make a motion that we close this public hearing, seconded by...
Well, I don't think we want to
Oh, I do want to close it.
adjourn indefinitely.
Adjourn, yeah, sure, that's it. Adjourn indefinitely, thank you. Seconded by...
Second.
Member Villano. Discussion.
So what does that mean?
Attorney Polidoro.
We're not closing it because closing it means that certain timelines start running. There's 62 days to make a
Right,
decision.
right.
Thank you.
Adjourning it indefinitely means that you're continuing it to some point unknown. When the applicant does come back, we will renotice and republish the public hearing and sort of start that over. And this avoids having to come every month for the neighbors, having us, have to sit here every month and do it, have their consultant come every month. So
Right.
when they're ready to come back, they can come in and ask for you to reschedule the public hearing.
Okay.
Can I ask Joe a question?
Of course.
So nothing they have is applicable, right? There's nothing new going on, nothing being submitted. They're starting from scratch.
Well, they're starting from the drawings they
Yeah, that's
currently
right.
have, and they're updating them to the things that are a concern. And the two big issues are the water line location, the storm drainage, and there's actually new stormwater regulations that are now in effect that kick in because they didn't have site plan approval, and possibly even new rules that the health department may impose on them. So they're good.
So there's a starting point.
There's a starting point they're starting at. They're not starting from zero because they have a design done. They have to modify it to accommodate
Yeah.
all these new concerns.
And they were addressing concerns until
were.
they weren't, and they haven't. So.
They started to address them, and then maybe we'll hear, but.
Yeah,
we-
so
we-
the public hearing, we're voting on closing the public hearing. Who are you?
Well, you guys are on a roll, I didn't want to
Okay.
interrupt you. Brian Watts from Base Cosa here. Just to give a brief status update.
Okay, so, sorry, stop. I asked if there was anyone from Stony Brook who'd like to speak. No one got up and spoke. You got up and then you sat down, so you didn't say anything. Then we opened the public hearing. They signed up to speak, you didn't sign up to speak, and then we're about to vote to close the public hearing. I don't understand what you're doing. So, please explain what's going on, very quickly.
I apologize, I didn't hear for Stony Brook, you went right to, I heard you go right to the public hearing, so I apologize. We made an application to the Board of Health with the updated sewer. We have some comments back from them, and in addressing the stormwater, we said the surveyor had to go out and get more information. This was about November. We got updated current conditions at the entrance. This was about end of December, beginning of January. We're looking at it, and we sent him back out. He needs to get more information to comply with DOT farther up 22.
Okay.
So we're still waiting for that survey information. I don't know when it's supposed to come in. He's going much farther up from the firehouse all the way down to the box culvert.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't have that before, so we're still waiting for that information so we get a full picture
Mhm.
of all the existing conditions in the stormwater. And then we can try to come up with a finalized plan and get that reviewed.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, may I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
How far have you, or are you still in the process of getting their septic system shown and making sure that's on the plans to the health department with separations?
I believe we have that on the plan.
Okay.
It's been submitted to the
Health department with separations to show that it's okay.
for everything we've done and the water line.
Okay,
system on the back.
okay, so that's going through the health
That
department.
is currently in the Board of Health
Okay.
department. I can submit the comment letter if it wasn't submitted to the town when we last received. We've redirected some of our resources towards trying to deal with DOT, because that's the
When-
most challenging.
Thank you. Secretary McMillan or Attorney Polidoro, when's the last time we received anything from Stony Brook?
On January, we received a request for continuation of the public hearing, but without much information.
Right.
And then in October, Julianne Flood showed up at the meeting, but she said they couldn't make the deadline and asked for a continuance.
Right.
And
And we've had 3, 4, 5 deadlines since then?
September, still getting additional information. So it looks like August is when Don Flood presented some modifications.
Mhm.
Sometime around that time,
Okay.
August 15th.
Modifications in August, September, October, we're working on it. January, please, please, please continue. It's March. I've made a motion. It's been seconded. Any further discussion amongst the members of the planning board to adjourn this public hearing indefinitely? Okay, seeing no further discussion.
And when we get a proper submission package, then then we schedule,
Then we look at it.
then we start.
And we
the-
decide.
Okay.
do we
Ready for a
then
hearing.
Bring the public hearing back up. Any further discussion?
No.
Seeing no further, yes?
I'm sorry,
Attorney
I do
Polidoro?
want to just respond to Tom Holmes' question earlier.
Oh, yes.
So you're not starting at zero. There is a previously approved plan, and the board would be acting arbitrarily and capriciously if it did not reapprove the plan, except that to the extent that there are changes in law, changes in stormwater regulations, or changes in other conditions. So you're looking to see what changes are needed to make it comply with current law and if it can still be approved.
And what new
I
information?
understand the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I do,
Yeah.
but I don't understand if you go such amount of time. You know what I mean? 25 years ago, you know, this is when it started.
It wasn't 25, but it was a while ago.
20?
Do it.
Yep.
I'm just getting, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's been a while, long time.
Well,
Been a long
it-
time.
that was the original, but this board actually reapproved it probably 2 years ago,
Or,
2.5,
well, a
3
little
years
more
ago
now,
at this
but
point.
yeah.
Yeah, it did.
But
has
does
come
it
up
switch
for
from one
renewal.
owner to another? I
It
just,
did.
There
yeah.
was a switch from one owner to another, yes.
And I think
Prior to
the new
construction.
owner
That's when
wasn't
this all
really aware
started.
that they had to do this, or they missed the deadline.
They missed the
so-
deadline, and, you know, I believe we worked with them to try and, okay, well, let's try and figure this out.
Yep.
So, any further discussion amongst members of the planning board about the motion to adjourn this public hearing indefinitely? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say no.
I said aye.
You said aye, okay.
I said aye.
Okay.
I said
Aye. 5 ayes, 0
Two
noes,
absences.
2 absences. Motion to adjourn the public hearing passes. Please let your client know. Okay. All right. Our next scheduled meeting is March 20th. The deadline has passed,
And we got no new applications.
and we have no new applications.
we
And
have
we have
anything
finished with
to-
Savalos, Anaheim Valley Homestead, and Stony Brook Estates. So, I would say we do not have a meeting on March 20th. Then the meeting after that will be April 3rd. The deadline is March 15th.
Right.
Yes, the Ides of March to submit your paperwork. Is there any further business before this planning board? Being no further business, I'll make a motion to adjourn, seconded by Member Sador. All those in favor of adjournment say aye.
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 Aye. We are adjourned.